Hi, hello. Welcome to my podcast, Empathic Here and Now. The title of today's episode is How to Make Your Brain Happy. When you hear that question, maybe you have already some ideas about how to make your brain happy. You know, things like chocolate, good movie, good book, sleeping, Sudoku, nice sex, pizza, or whatever. But it's not what I'm talking about. Today I want to tell you about a particular concept. And actually not about how to make your brain happy sporadically on a moment-to-moment basis, but about how to build a happy brain. Today it's about positive neuroplasticity according to Rick Hanson. Rick Hanson, an American neuropsychologist, wrote a book called Hardwiring Happiness, the new brain science of contentment, calm and confidence. In this book, Hanson talks about what brain neuroplasticity is and what we can do with it. Brain neuroplasticity is the ability of the brain to change its structure under the influence of experience. When I hear that, I have to tell you it makes me feel really good. You know why? Because it means that not everything is ultimately determined. And no matter what kind of experience we have, how old we are, and how much our brain has learned so far, how much it went through, we can constantly shape it so that our life can be better, easier, happier, lighter. It sounds cool, don't you think? Whatever we do here and now, whatever we think, feel in the body, fires up specific circuits in our brain. Slowly sculpts it. So, what we experience shapes our brain. Everything that happens in our brain, in our experience. Okay, but what is experience? So, these are feelings, emotions, thoughts, my reactions to a situation, sensations in the body. Every experience triggers some neuronal activity and it makes a change in the brain, especially as it repeats. But, important thing, an experience and the fact are two different things. They are not the same thing. Fact is when we look at the world as it is, which is, by the way, a difficult thing to do, and it requires really good attention, but it's possible. It's also a question of practice. So, we look at the world as it is. It means looking at a situation as if you were observing it through the lens of a camera. I see what I see, I don't add anything there. This is a fact. And experience is how I react to this fact, how I feel about it, what it does to me. You see the difference, yeah? Okay, well, that's cool. Good experiences, and we all have some after all, they do a good job for our brain, and the brain is happy, and then we are happy, and life is great. Thank you, that's all for today. No, because it's not that easy. Because there is such a thing as a negativity bias of the brain. What is actually this? So Rick Hanson said that it means brain is like a Velcro for negative experiences and Teflon for positive ones. I will explain it soon. So actually, why do we have it? What for? Well, this negativity bias is for something. Especially it was for something when we were struggling for survival in prehistoric times. So instead of sulking that we have it, let's maybe thank our ancestors who constantly feared the threat of the saber-toothed tiger or other predator. Because if they would say to themselves, think positive, nothing is happening, everything is fine, and they would have put their guard down and that tiger would have appeared, then, oops, no more chances to pass on their genes. If all of them would be so relaxed, humanity would simply not have survived. The negative tendency of the brain is a necessary tool for survival. Our brain evolved in the troubled Stone Age, and it was really better to make a mistake like, I expect tiger, and there isn't one, instead of mistake like, I don't expect tiger, but oops, here he is. So it's obvious that the brain just, prefers to make the first mistake than the second one. The negativity bias shows up in lots of ways. For example, studies have found that in a relationship, it typically takes 5 good interactions to make up for a single bad one. Or do you know thoughts like, for sure something bad is about to happen when things are good for a long time? Or the thought that the whole day sucked because of one thing that went wrong that day. And then at the end of the day, you remember this one negative thing instead of 20 positive situations that also happened this day. Do you know this? You probably do, because every person has this negativity bias. It's basically a consequence of the evolution by which our ancestors learned to make good decisions in high-risk situations. It's, let's say, a gift from the past. A very nice gift. Okay, and now is the question. How many times in a day, now, there is a risk of meeting a tiger? Or in other words, how many times in a day do we experience a situation of real danger to life or health? Yes, sometimes we do, unfortunately. But the problem is that our brain thinks that this happens much more often than it actually happens. And while it certainly wants to keep us safe so we can pass on our genes, because that's what matters, it doesn't care about our well-being. It cares about survival, but not about quality of life. The negative tendency of the brain is responsible for the fact that we remember negative experiences more easily and more strongly. What's more, we even subconsciously look for them. We expect them, that they will happen. We expect to meet them. And we learn from them way too much. Our brain becomes sensitive, more and more sensitive to these negatives. Our negativity bias strengthens, grows, so we focus more and more on the negative experiences, and so on and so forth. But again, this is automatic. This is normal. It's been reinforced for 80 million years or so of mammal evolution. And it has been nurtured in culture. And it's still nurtured. In some nations, some countries, more than in others, yes, this concept of constantly looking for enemies and stuff like that. But okay, let's leave it. And in some families, there is such an atmosphere of feeding that negativity bias also. Telling kids, Life is dangerous. World is dangerous. You cannot trust anyone. Careful, you'll hurt yourself. Okay, but what we can do about it? What we can do with this negativity bias that we all have? Such advice like think positive, be optimistic, always look at the bright side of life. They might sound nice, sure, but we don't really know what to do with them, do we? But yes, we can consciously take care of our well-being and build a happy brain. And yes, first of all, it is a process. It's not like you can change your brain to a happy brain in 5 steps that you do once or twice and it's done, or during some brain transformation weekend workshop. No. This is a process. Daily practice. In small steps, a little at a time, but systematically. Because the brain follows its own beaten paths. Just because it's easier. If we don't practice systematically, it will escape us and the change will not come. Now a few words about what and how to practice. Okay, so we already know that there is a negativity bias of the brain, that this negativity bias wants to protect us, but often does more harm than good. And we also know that our experiences shape our brain. They build our brain. The negative ones we focus on will reinforce the negativity bias, the negative tendency for us. And the good, supportive ones will build a happy brain. Now the question is, how? Since we know we have this negative tendency, let's try to notice when our brain falls into it. Let's just try to be aware about it. The fact that a thought has come up that is out of my control. But I can choose not to follow this thought. Yes? I can choose not to repeat the same story, the same narrative in my head over and over again. The fact that I notice the thought when it appears is already a big step. And it's a necessary one. I can say to myself, oh, I have this thought now. And let it go. Let it fly far from me. It can be very helpful to ask myself, what is happening in me here and now? What is alive in me? This can really help us get in touch with how we are right here and now. To become aware of what we are experiencing, to name the emotions. This awareness and naming can help us not to be overwhelmed by it. And then we have a sense of empowerment and we can act. We can make decisions. We can build up resources in our mind which will help us in difficult situations. Building up these resources is also a daily systematic practice. How do you build them on a daily basis? So, you might do this through a practice that Rick Hanson has called Take in the Good. It only takes around 20, let's say 30 seconds. But again, not 30 seconds and it's done. No, 30 seconds, let's say 10 times a day, every day. In order to install a resource in my brain like calmness, joy, I need an experience and I need to activate this experience. So, first step, look for good facts and turn them into good experiences. So first I look for facts. I look at what is beneficial for me today, here and now. What supports me? What brings positive emotions? I think about that fact and I see what it does for me. And what it does for me, that is the experience. Not the fact itself, but how I am with it. Okay, so that way we have the activation of experience. And now in order to store it in our long-term memory, we need an installation. How? Here is the second step. Really enjoy the experience. Let's stay with this experience for a while, instead of getting distracted by something else. Enjoy it for these 30 seconds. Fill yourself up with it. Activation and installation. Have it and enjoy it. And the third step, intend and sense that the good experience is sinking into you. Let yourself feel it with attention to how your body reacts, because our body tells us a lot. Let yourself allow this positive experience to spread through your body. You can visualize it. You can imagine it in many different ways. For example, as a warm light. 30 seconds is just a moment. And 10 times a day of this moment brings so much good for our brain. Okay, but what if there is nothing I can enjoy? No fact from which I can build an experience that I can install for myself. No spectacular success, winning the jackpot, nothing wow. Well, that's not what it is about. I mean, of course, it can be spectacular success, whatever subjectively it means. Of course, it can be good material for the practice of taking in good. You got your dream job, you got your promotion, you had your dream holiday. Great, enjoy it. You know, instead of saying, oh, there, it's nothing special, and taking away your right to feel all the nice things that comes up. But what I would like to say is, let's not follow the idea that we need something extra, something spectacular in order to practice taking in goodness. Because, you know, it's a bit like that in our culture, I think, and for sure in some coaching trends, that we are told that it's cool to have more, better, bigger. Not even cool, it's necessary, that we should reach higher, demand more from life and people, that big money and fame are waiting for us, we just have to know where to look for it, and all that stuff. By the way, I think that in most cases, material richness and fame are not waiting for us, no matter where we reach. And that is okay. So if not spectacular things, then what? I don't know, maybe that the sun is shining, that there's basically nothing wrong with me and nothing hurts me, that I have a good relationship, good enough, that I'm important to someone, that someone is important to me, that I'm drinking tasty coffee or tea. Or maybe sometimes it might be also this, that I got through the day without any serious troubles. Small things, you know. Search in your daily life, here and now, what can be the fact that you can turn into a good experience. And do it. 30 seconds taking in the good. Few times per day. 30 seconds of building slowly, step by step, your happy brain. That's all for today. Thank you and bye.